Moment, please. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the pre-broadcast.
Pre-broadcast. If you didn't know, that's where all the action happens, in the pre-broadcast.
The pre-broadcast is where you get all the never-before-seen stuff that happens before the never-before-seen stuff.
That's right. Behind the camera that's not there, because we are not on camera.
And we are now officially... Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Almost Daily Show, episode 4. Your hosts, Chandler and Dave, just got off the pre-show where we talked about some great, amazing things that you won't know unless you watch the show before the show on Crowdcast, so make sure you tune in there. That was a lot of words. It sounded like those guys who sell like the credit card rates, and at the end it's like, and we will also take away your firstborn child, and we'll take away the 3 cars you own, and then the other 3 things that you didn't have, and the 3 things you had before that.
And check the box. I love it.
And check the box to say that you agree with the terms of service, and if you don't agree with the terms of service, then we're not going to give you what you need.
That's correct. That's always the best. Late night when you're tired and you're just on autopilot for ordering.
Yeah.
Absolute best time to order something. That's right.
I found out recently, I wanted like a thing to listen to books in the shower. And Steph was like, well, you're stupid. And laughed at me and made fun of me because I wanted to listen to books in the shower, and I had a shower speaker. And so then I go in there the other day because I bought this on a Groupon of all places. I was just sitting in the middle of the night, and I walk in, she's in the shower, and I look over, and she's listening to The Greatest Showman. And I was like, really? You gave me shit for this, and now you're doing it?
That is bad. But she just
so
likes
bad.
Hugh Jackman singing, right?
Yeah.
Must be nice.
It must be. I told her, you know what? My favorite musical is Baby Driver.
That was actually pretty good. I was very disappointed in the ending of that movie.
God, I know.
The guy was a beast. He was a beast driving, and at the end of the movie, he's on foot. So there is the ruining the show for you if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Could have been
you just ruined the whole movie. Spoiler.
Could have been the best car chase in the history of car chases, and nope.
Yeah, nope, and gone. He's on foot.
Yeah,
and the crazy guy.
That was one of the movies I finished off and was just like, I don't get it. It was so good up till that point.
That's true. It was one of my favorite so far.
Yep.
So anyway, today we had a great conversation with Heath, one of our guys the other day, who's opening up a new gym, Island Life Fitness. Everybody go check him out, Hilton Head, South Carolina.
Hilton Head, baby.
Hilton Head. But we were talking about how to organize your pricing and how to make sure you understand you have a strategy that both works from looking at the viewpoint of inside your facility and what you're capable of doing in there based on like your square footage, but also from outside of your facility and what the market will actually bear. Because especially in the service-based industry market, automatically every time you just have to charge more because you have to charge what you're worth, which is like an answer, but really doesn't mean anything, because then you're just like, well, how do I figure out what do I even charge and what's even going to work?
Yeah, it's I think everybody struggles with it, and ultimately you can't look at other facilities unless they're similar to what you're doing. But people get so caught up with this group exercise and personal training and semi-private training, and charge what you're worth. There's a lot that goes into it, and ultimately, looking at your local market, right? Coming up with a game plan for what your actual business model is going to be. I think people get kind of caught in the middle on that one too, where they're trying to charge for services and it's really not even what they do for work. And ultimately, I know bringing the square footage actually really changes things a lot as well. You can't run a big group exercise program in a personal training style studio and expect to make it with the numbers either. So there's a lot that goes into coming up with your prices, and there's just so many variables you have to track and pay attention to. And if you don't do it, you find out years later that you made a mistake and you have to make big changes.
Yeah. I think you have to come from 2 viewpoints. You have to understand, like you're saying, you have to understand what similar people in your market are doing, just understand what people are willing to spend, and you have to understand discretionary income in your market. So what's your average income that people are actually making in your community? And so then you take that and you say, okay, here's what the top 1% of my community make, here's what the bottom 10%, and here's what the average income is. And then I can price my services on a very high-end level, and I can price my services on a medium level, and then I can price my services at a low-end level if I want to be at that point, or at least I can have 3 options people can choose from based on the dynamics of the market. And so like for us, there's 3 options. There's kind of serious, serious, and very serious. And people can choose from the lower one, which is a little more affordable, the middle one, which is where we want everybody to be, and then the high-end one, which is where the top 10% want to be because they want that exclusive experience.
Yeah, and let's address the exclusive experience because this is something that happens, I think, in the industry a lot. Making sure that you're charging a bunch of money, especially up front for people, really raising your rates quite a bit. But if only a certain percentage of your clients can afford it, you're trying to take, maybe the best 20% of your clientele and build a business around it. You need to make sure that you're spending enough money on your marketing and you really understand your local demographics and where the clients are coming from, or you're just going to starve off your business because there's not enough business at those rates unless you're doing it right and being aggressive with it. Can't get caught in the middle on that.
Exactly. So you have to get in the mindset of who specifically do I want to get in front of, and who specifically do I want to purchase my products and services. Am I for the masses? If you're for the masses, you can't expect to charge what someone's going to charge for like a super high-end service because you're going to cut off, like you're saying, a bunch of your market, a bunch of people who would be viable to actually jump into your services. So you need to make sure you're conscious of where you want to be. If you want to be on that high-end exclusive market, then you have to have a big marketing budget behind it to get in front of those people. You need to understand what they want. They want exclusivity. They want high prices, and they don't want the average experience. So the whole thing needs to be centered around that. But it's much harder. And you have to get in front of those people, and you really have to understand their dynamic. If you're a traditional service-based business like a gym and you want to be in a good broad market, then you're going to want to have your middle of the road where most people can afford. It's near or close to the average amount that people are spending on that product or service, or maybe the upper, whatever, 80% of it that people are charging for it, because the bottom ones are probably have no idea what they're doing. And then you can say, okay, this is where the middle is. This is where I want everybody to be. And then here's the more affordable option for the people who maybe can't jump on that. And then here's the exclusive experience. So then you have the capability to at least branch out and not choke off your whole market. I think that's a big problem that we see. People price way too low.
Yeah, I've seen it the last 5 years, right? Is there's a movement to try to really, raise rates and incomes and all these things. And it really choked off the market for a lot of people. And you have to understand that, your program can be multiple layered, right? And that the people that are willing to pay the money, you have something in place for them. But in a commodity-driven gym market, especially if you're coming at it from a group exercise standpoint, you can't, in a group exercise program, price yourself so far out of the market and expect to see good results. We just saw less and less people coming in the door because there's just better, cheaper options for them.
Yeah, especially if you're in the micro gym market. You can't say, there's this old adage back in the day that worked, but doesn't make sense now, was we're the best, we have the best coaching, so we're going to price in that way because we are the best. But now everybody's saying that. All the consumer does is do a quick Google search of CrossFit in my area, CrossFit near me, or fitness near me, personal training near me, yoga near me. Whatever it is that they're looking for, they just do a quick Google search, see 375 different options. They call 12 of them, figure out which one they want to go to that's to their house. So if you you need to understand that you're not a destination anymore at this point. You're a convenience in the eyes of the consumer because they need to make sure that they can attend your classes, they can attend your programs, and that you're going to be convenient for them. And you're not so expensive that you choke off that entire market.
Yeah. And if you are coming at it from a premium, look at what premium gyms in the industry are doing, right? They are high-end looking, right? They have really nice locker rooms. They have amenities. They have childcare. They have pools. They have all this stuff. Towel service. There's TVs everywhere, right? Big investors came in and they spent the money, and it's beautiful, and people will pay the extra money for better service. Like, just go when you're traveling, just go to you're in a really nice hotel, go check out the spa and go check out the training services. That can get the money. And it's just because they're putting, it's all the amenities that go with it and all the extras and the technology and all that. If you're like a down and dirty functional training gym, it's really hard to compete with that. So you really need to have, we like the 3 tiers of service, right? Something for everybody. And the people that are really looking for a kind of an all-in option that can afford it, they have that option. But it's really hard to compete with the big gyms, the money and all that. If you're a smaller type facility, you don't have a legit marketing budget. You're kind of all by yourself in the neighborhood there with your gym, trying to find high-end clients. It's really hard.
Yeah, and if you're doing things, you need to understand that you need less people, but you also need, like you're saying, to put a lot of money into getting those people in front of you and those people to care about you and the amenities for them to want to be part of. And this whole experience that they need to make them happy. And you're competing with the Globo gym across the street that maybe is a really high end. Like we have a high end Globo gym that's across the street, and you're competing with them and their hedge fund budget and their unlimited amounts of funds that they have. So if you're in a micro gym and you look at what the average consumer is spending on a gym now, it's significantly higher than it was in the past. The average amount people are spending is $155 a month. And so you say, okay, I look for Reno, for example, the average consumer makes $38,000 a year. That's not very much money when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, and even over some of the larger cities because it's a small community and a transient community. So then you have to say, okay, the average income is that much. If I calculate 10% of that, I understand the discretionary income at this point. This is what people have to spend on not just fitness, but fitness, movies, dinner with the family out, whatever they have that they're going to actually spend things on.
Beers on the weekend,
things,
right?
And somehow you have to fit into that discretionary income for the average where you're going to be. And that's where these gyms are. Everybody's pricing at points from $120 up to $200 plus. But even if you hit the 200 zone, you need to get about 150 people before you can be comfortable and able to run and reinvest back in marketing and really build and grow.
Well, and then that all depends also on your square footage scenario, right? What does your overhead look like? If you're in a high cost per square foot area, you might need more people than that, right? So it really affects the site. Like if you have a 1,500 square foot gym or you have a 10,000 square foot gym, your ability to run and grow, your community and the size of your business and have different programs running really gets affected, right? So the smaller your gym, which adds to the problem, your overhead has to stay down and the cost per square foot has to be reasonable.
Exactly. And so if you can have this like massive facility and never make your overhead, or you can have a really tiny facility but a really good client value and you are going to make your overhead. So if you set yourself up for success with the right packaging strategy, the right pricing strategy, and you understand that how big your facility is, what you can do inside there, and what your overhead is, you're going to set yourself up for success. I think I've seen a lot of people fail by just opening up a massive facility and reinvest back in them anything to grow.
Well, they're not understanding how to grow communities and the different layers of that. And it's a big mistake. Like, you have a gym that's say 3,500, 4,000 square feet, group exercise primarily. They're busting at the seams. Life is good. They can reinvest back into their business. They're making a living, and then they want to go big because that's just a natural progression. And basically they find out that it had nothing to do with the size of the facility. It had everything to do with like the size of their community, right? It doesn't matter how big the facility was. The community doesn't grow to the size of the facility. They double down on space. They increase overhead. And then they find out all they did is give up their own income, right, and their own ability to reinvest in the business, but they have a nice space, but the community didn't grow evenly with the growth of the space. That happens over and over and over again in the industry.
Exactly. That's a really big problem because we want that big space. We want all the shiny things and we want to have like a massive thing, but it's not worth it. And looking back, if I could redo everything, I'd probably open up a 3,000 square foot facility and have my little options, 179, 189, and 209. And then I can capture dynamics.
Yeah. And I can run the math on that all day long to prove the size of facility and where if you're not able to and understand the community growth and the way that once you break a certain size, it's program based and not individual program based as opposed to multiple programs. If you're not able to actually make that transition to grow the business, all you really do is shoestring yourself and lose revenue. And size of facility, I mean, you could run a monster program on 3,000-4,000 square feet at
Exactly.
At
You can
best.
crush it.
And make it very profitable, right? So I own a gym that's 10,000 square feet. If we just ran the one-base approach we did for 5 years, we made a monster mistake. We had a multi-program based facility that was thriving, and we crushed it all down to a single kind of modality service that we were trying to offer at a higher premium and grow that way. But all it did was, because I didn't quite understand the community aspect like I do now, it just squeezed it all off. And basically I run a program that, or we used to, we've made the adjustment, but should have been in a 4,000 square foot facility. And instead it was in a 10,000 square foot facility. So the place was too big for the program. And we've made adjustments, right? Market adjustments to run a multi-program facility at 10,000 square feet, and right, revenue's up and life's good.
Exactly. So that's what you got to do. So when you guys are thinking about packaging and pricing, you need to organize yourself from both dynamics. What is the average income in my area? What's the discretionary income? Then say, okay, I'm going to make 3 entry-level offerings I can give people. I'm going to show them the highest level one at first and be like, okay, here's the tip of the spear that we offer, but here's where I think you fit in. And so they're going to remember the last one you showed them, and you're going to show them where they need to be, because people really need to be told what to do in order to do it. And they're also going to understand it. You can ask them their budget. And then after that, maybe you have 3 options for entering your group format programs. If you're in the gym industry, it's okay. You get boom, boom, boom. These are your options. These are your entry points after the fundamentals. And then as you build it, like Dave's saying here, just grow it from an understanding that you don't have to have a massive facility. You need to have a decent sized facility. Anywhere from 3,000 to 6,000 square feet is probably more than enough. And then you need to price yourself accordingly to where you can run one solid program and crush it there. And so it's your entry level base and then your program inside that. If you have a big facility and a big thing in a massive operation, 10,000 square feet or more, then you have to think about, okay, I can have entry programs for different programs, and I can run a multi-program facility because this is how I'm going to maximize revenue and make sure it works.
That's right. That's a big thing you just pointed out, maximizing revenue, and it's around your resources. So you can't maximize revenue if you don't have the resource to do it. And it's probably another show we should talk about, trying to implement things that people are telling you, but you're actually not capable because you don't have the resources. And you know that there needs to be transition plans to get to the point where you can implement a lot of the stuff that you hear all these experts talking about.
Exactly. And sometimes that's
huge props.
Sometimes that's like you have the funds. If you don't, sometimes that's getting a loan or going into some debt to reinvest back into your facility to grow. People think debt is this like dangerous tool, or it's this badge of honor when you don't have any. But when you look at the way the economy works, and corporations and most business that becomes large, it's a debt economy. Growth is financed by debt. Growth is paid back through the debt. And it's just a way we grow if we don't have any other option.
Right. But you need a plan, or debt's bad.
Yeah.
That happens too much too. Taking on debt just to like throw a ton into marketing with no actual real plan.
That's bad.
Just throwing the money away.
Exactly.
That's right.
So yeah, make sure you have a plan.
If
you waste that, you got a payment that you're going to get screwed for, and now you got a real problem.
Right. It happens a lot. We see that a lot with people. So that's another show. I think we found next week's show.
We'll talk about debt financing next week. That'll be exciting.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's all she wrote, Dave. Good times.
This woman's writing stuff, and
I did this one right in the middle of my gym. No one's here right now.
I think that's great.
Yeah, it was exciting. All right, you guys, we will see you next week. If you have questions, email us hello@ootcmedia.com. If you're watching this, post in the comments. We want to hear from you. What do your packages look like? What does your pricing look like? What do your services look like? And we'd like to help you. If you're in our groups, make sure you post what you are doing so we can collaborate and really build and grow and win forever.
For the win.
All right. See ya.
All right, guys. See you next week.